So it's come to my attention that this particular pair of shoes that I have in this box are kind of disliked by the people who buy them for reasons. This is the Nike Tempo Next Percent. If I had to take a guess what the deal with said shoes are, it's that if you wanted to buy the Alpha Fly, but were too slow to buy it online, or were too cheap, you'd probably settle for these. I don't really know that for fact. Typically, when I do shoe reviews, I don't watch any other person's shoe reviews, so I can give you like my general reaction to them. But this time I kind of cheated that system, and that's why I know that people apparently dislike these shoes. That being said, it seems like most people are not a fan of the Flyknit upper. To be fair, it looks like some of it is like fused with other material besides the Flyknit. I think the Flyknit's more in the back here, kind of like the Flyknit 4%, which by the way was one of my favorite running shoes before the Next Percent came out. I guess people also thought this was kind of a heavy / clunky shoe in terms of just the AirPods, or these Air Zoom like pods in the shoes, not really cooperating with you as a runner. What else were people saying? I guess people were not really, they were kind of neutral about the Zoom X with the React foam being kind of this fused material. So that being said, I'm going to try to give you the most honest review of these shoes possible, as it seems like they already have a bad rep based on what YouTube and the rest of the internet say. I'm going to try to be fair. I really will. But first things first, I gotta go take these for a run. We're going to see how they perform. So, here.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change, play the game that we say. I need a break. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. Face on when I chase like that. Yeah, I play so strong with a knife in the back. I'ma swing home run like a baseball bat. Gonna see me rise, you can hate on that. I don't play both sides, doing me no cap. I'ma ride or die for my dreams on tap. I'ma fly real high, you ain't see me slack. No, it's not how you fall, it's how you get right back up. That's how you get tough. Calluses on my hands so rough, yeah, I call your bluff. I'm not the one, mess with me and come out with none, cause I'm so done.
Okay, without further ado, let's get into the Nike Tempo Next Percent first impression thoughts. So again, I think we're going to start with, I guess, some of the things I heard online versus what I experienced. So again, first things first, people did not seem to be a fan of the Flyknit upper. But personally, I was kind of indifferent to it. In fact, I leaned more towards liking it. That's mostly because I have had the Flyknit 4% for about the entire 2018 early 2019 season when these came out. I've had like 4 pairs of these that I've raced and trained with, and I've never had a bad time with them. In fact, when I broke my foot, I was running in the 4% Flyknit more often, and it just felt good on the feet. This is the Flyknit that I wore during the 2018 Chicago Marathon. I ran a 3:26 in it. It was a good time. So anyways, back to the Tempo Next Percent. Yeah, so the Flyknit upper, I'm kind of indifferent to it. In terms of putting your foot into the shoe initially, yeah, you got to kind of play around with the collar for the first few times just to get your foot to fit in and slide in easily. Definitely a little bit easier than putting in, like, per se, the regular next percent that they have. So that's okay. Like, that's just something that existed with the previous Flyknits before. Just the collar's just kind of loose and flimsy. Let's talk about the ride of the shoe. So, I have two major thoughts on the ride of the shoe. One is that, yes, I do agree with people. It is a little bit clunky sounding, but it doesn't feel clunky. So what I mean by that is the impact of the shoe on the ground is very loud, and it's mostly probably because of this rubber padding that they have. It's just that it's probably a slightly tougher rubber mixture, I'm guessing, and based on the material and how it doesn't really flex too much side to side, it probably just makes a really loud sound when you hit the ground. But it does flex forward a lot, so that's not the worst thing in the world. And the second thought I would say is probably based on the name, you would expect it to be a fast shoe. So here's where I agree and disagree with it. I'm guessing they're trying to implement this the same way the Zoomfly 3 was the trainer to the Next Percent. So this Tempo Next Percent is supposed to be the trainer for the Alpha Fly. I can't speak on behalf of the Alpha Fly because I don't have that shoe yet. But my guess is that you have to work a little bit harder to get more push out of the shoe than perhaps the racing, alternative to the shoe. That being said, this could be a fast shoe if you're willing to put in a little bit extra effort to get that tempo threshold pace, which is kind of where I'm mixed with it. Let me explain why. So with the Next Percent, like, I can put in 30% effort to get into my tempo threshold paces, and then eventually get into like a 40 and 50% to kind of lock out that pace. With this one, you have to kind of push about 60 to 70% of that speed to get into that tempo threshold pace. And on top of it, your cadence also begins to slow down. So where my cadence is usually about a 160, 165, I felt myself drop to about 160 to maybe even like 157, 156. I'll put the stats here. Yeah, I'll put them right here from my earlier run this morning with these shoes. It's not really a bad thing. It's just something that biomechanically changes as a consequence of running in this particular shoe. That being said, you can run fast in it. You just have to push a little bit harder in it. And once you start pushing into it, these AirPods do feel like they assist. Now, here's the thing. This is another point I heard. I believe it was from Seth James Damore. He claims that because he's kind of a lightweight guy, that he doesn't feel like he's getting the push out of these pods that he's expecting. He could be onto something there. Maybe this is a shoe intended for heavier runners. But again, that wouldn't really make sense from a marketing standpoint. You should make this shoe operate the same way for just about everyone, and everyone that strikes either, whether it be with heel or forefoot. Yeah, that wouldn't really make sense that, this shoe is engineered for people who are slightly heavier than your average runner. You are able to see the flex from said pods when you do push down on them. And I'm guessing you just don't feel that initial spring from the shoe if you're riding at a slightly slower pace, which I guess, kind of defeats the purpose of having the shoe for like an easy run. But whereas if you're trying to push it for a tempo or threshold, it would make more sense. So yeah, there was no weird plantar fasciitis feelings in my feet or in my ankles for this case. That was something people were reporting, that they were just flaring up their plantar fasciitis. Maybe this is the case because I've never experienced plantar fasciitis and I'm not sure where or what kind of symptoms in the heel and like the forefoot I'm supposed to be feeling. But I did have some peroneal tendinitis earlier on during the marathon training block in like August that kind of flared up in my left foot, which was odd. That was probably because I was running on slightly inclined ground and maybe my left foot was aggressively fighting against the slant of the ground at the time of the run. That being said, again, most people that have reviewed this have put in at least more than 10 miles on average from what I've seen. Because I'm deloading from the Chicago Marathon and we're just taking it easy, I ran only about 6.2 miles, so about a 10K. And in that 10K, I pushed about 3 tempo effort intervals of about 3 to 4 minutes. And whenever I was pushing, like, it definitely, the shoe definitely worked with me. But again, like, I had to give it a 60-40 in terms of giving it the push of trying to push in a tempo pace for the shoe to follow along with me. But again, that's something that I'm guessing is just the result of the shoe being more of a trainer rather than a racer. Would I train in this shoe for $200? Probably not. That's probably one of my big downsides with the shoe, is that this is kind of an expensive trainer. I don't think it's going to replace my Pegasus Turbo 2s in terms of being my everyday and tempo pace runner. Thresholds at that point, I may as well turn my next percents into threshold pace run shoes. And then, of course, I'll race in them if I want to. But I think my plan moving forward is to, unfortunately, return these and then invest that $200 from these shoes into the Alpha Flies. So now I think the Alpha Flies are running somewhere upwards. I think I saw in stocks. I saw them running at about $350 to $400. So I can save that money gradually in some kind of, like, I don't know, vacation fund, and then just invest that extra $200 plus the cost of these shoes into the Alpha Flies. So when the 2021 race season kicks in, you know, I'll have a decent pair of racing shoes. And also the other case with that is I've also invested in a non-Nike pair of shoes that's going to be a dark horse in my training regiment. And yeah, that's kind of why I got to say goodbye to the Tempo Next percents. So overall, what do I feel about the shoe? It's not as bad as I think people make it out to be. But on that note, there are things that could certainly improve. And I wonder how many of these things that are bad in the shoe are as a result of bad engineering or bad marketing production as a result of the pandemic. So maybe people are working from home and they're not able to be physically in front of the shoe to test it, to play around with it. I don't know. I wasn't there when Nike engineered this shoe. Anything could have gone wrong where, like, of course, when people's heels are getting cut by the back of the shoe, maybe this could have been a very easily avoidable scenario if people were working in office when they were engineering this. So it's hard to say. But as a trainer, it's going to be good for the tempo interval shoes if you can push a little bit extra effort past your normal tempo effort to activate the pods in the shoes to obviously give you that ride. And what else? Of course, if you're a fan of the Flyknit upper, it shouldn't bother you in any sort of way, which is a good thing. And yeah, those are pretty much my final thoughts on the shoe. Yeah, of course, you're probably not going to see any other reviews of this shoe for the time being because I am going to return these. And yeah, unfortunately, they just don't fit in my training regimen right now because the Pegasus Turbo 2s do just the job that these would do. With less risk of injury, I suppose. That's just an opinion. Don't take me serious on that one. So again, this is just after one run of this particular shoe. Without experience on the Alpha Fly and experience in previous Flyknit versions of the Nike shoes from 2018. So if you like the review, definitely like this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't before, as we've got some fun virtual races coming up and some other things starting up in 2021 that I'll be happy to announce as they roll around. But yeah, let me get your thoughts on the Tempo Next percent. What did you guys really like about the shoe? What did you really hate about it? Did you keep your shoes? Did you return them? Are you going to reinvest for an Alpha Fly? Let me know what you guys are doing. I'm curious as to how the silent community is reacting to this shoe. No pun intended. But again, yeah, this is just kind of where I stand with it. It's not the worst shoe I've ever run in. It's just doesn't really fit in what I'm doing right now. In terms of deloading from the marathon and, of course, beginning some virtual races. Yeah, the Pegasus Turbo 2 does the job just fine, in my opinion, and I don't think I need to spend $200 on a trainer when I can reinvest that into the Alpha Fly moving forward. So, yeah, that's all I've got for now, and, yeah, I'll see you guys real soon with some other content. See you guys later.